Let's see. What are we playing today? Well, time to cry. Hey guys, it's Perlin, and today we are back with Narcissu, of course, because we didn't do one last week, so I feel kind of bad, but we need to go ahead and continue this. Let's get through this, tears and all. Last week I wasn't feeling very well. My throat was completely thrown for the most part, so I just didn't end up recording much of anything, and I used my voice a lot at work as well, so I was not being able to use my voice was not very it wasn't a very good thing, so I couldn't record last week, which I do apologize, but it's all fine. We're back. We're gonna continue with Narcissu. I don't think there's much else to say. I don't have any special drink or anything besides just my regular old water, so let's jump back right back to where we were. Jump back to right back where we are. That's English. Let's jump right back into where we were, shall we? So guys, last time we left off, we left our Bonnie and Clyde duo, and for some reason the girl had a ton of money hidden away. She had decided that she wanted to save money to go somewhere, even though she knew she would never be able to because she was terminally ill. So she pulled that money out at the moment we were about to pretty much gas and go at a self-service station. We were gonna get the gas and not pay for it, just drive off, but she gave the money because apparently she just had 20,000 yen or some crazy amount just on her, because apparently she had been saving to go somewhere that she knew she would never be able to go, which is really weird, but not too weird if you're looking at death every day like these two kind of are. So all in all, Bonnie and Clyde are still going strong, and they've got pretty good money now between them for a little bit at least, so let's see what happens. I like looking at the maps. This is in my way. That's in my way. Sorry. I like looking at the maps. The Route 1 that continued forever. The unknown places. The cars that would take me everywhere. I love them. I'm guessing this is the girl again. But no matter how much knowledge I accumulated, yep, this is her. It was imagination. Reality, my heart, both steadily grew fragile. I had a swimsuit, I had maps, but I had no future. I even had a world outside the window, but I had no reality I could touch. If I closed my eyes, I could go to a world of nothingness. But it wasn't as if this world itself had disappeared. I knew that. My lifelong companion was resigned to the world of closed eyes. And yet, always imagining, what if? Hoping for a maybe. Gazing at a dream, but in the end. Yearning never sent beyond longing, both the bikini swimsuit and the Emerald Sea. The large scar on my chest advised me to give up. But spending most of my life at a hospital, spending time only in the world of my closed eyes, being unable to choose anything but the 7th floor or home, was pitiful. Without being given room to choose, but even saying that, unable to even find that place, I felt myself to be pathetic. Even though I had lived 22 years. Just once, let me do as I please. When I murmured that, the time that I should have stopped felt like it swayed. On that day, the heart that should have stopped hurt. That should stopped hurt. January 26, Route 1, Hiratsuka. The cleared blue sky of winter reflected on the hood as the silver coupe ran. As always, it ran without a destination, but for the moment, neither gasoline nor shopping seemed to be a problem. Soon we were about to enter a large intersection. Last night I hadn't gotten the girl's approval, but I just generally headed west anyway. It was just, I had absolutely no idea about... Wow, okay. I had absolutely no idea about the geography, and cost of using the expressway seemed painful. While thinking about that, the large intersection came up ahead. Without thinking about it, I was going to drive straight through. There. Left. Eh? Turn left. Suddenly, the girl gave me directions. While wondering what it was, I followed her instructions and made a left turn coming out onto a large road. Just what was that? Tit-tat-tat. This is Route 1. For a while, go straight. For a while? Her sudden directions left me surprised. Up until now, she had come along, and while she seemed to know everything, this was the first time that she spontaneously gave me directions. Is it that you started wanting to go? To that place. Ajishima. Problem? No, that's not what I meant. We had driven without any destination. I had been wandering around wanting a goal, and the mysterious girl always looked far away. What came from the girl's mouth was unexpected. It's not that I'm expecting anything. Eh? It's not like I want a swimsuit. What are you saying? It's nothing. Okay, so I'm starting to get what she's talking about here a little bit. A little bit. So she's saying we're going without telling them, and that's cool. Dude's kind of just like, okay. Under the clear winter sky, while reflecting the sunlight, the silver coupe ran on. It passed through Hakone, with its steep inclines and sudden curves, and now the roads turned much gentler. Hey, this place is around where? Aichiken, and soon we're entering the city of Nagoya. Thinking of our money, we drove on the lower roads without using the expressway. Myself alone, it would have been absolutely impossible, but following the girl's directions, we went on. The girl, who was way more knowledgeable than a navigation system, pointed out the way. I didn't know the reason why, but I felt that it was probably the right route. At the next intersection, enter Route 22. Got it. Changing lanes as told, I turned the wheel. In the scenery flowing by the window, we first saw a busy city stretch far to the north. Then, while unnoticed, the scenery around us slowly turned to more calm things. Hey, you want to go there? By the side of the national road, some family restaurant chain. As I drove, I pointed to it and continued speaking. Look, up until now, we've been eating only at convenience store food, right? Of course, we hadn't been eating only convenience store food because we liked it. We had to consider our money and didn't have that sort of room for choosing. But now, we had just a little bit of room financially. That's why I made the suggestion. Well, once in a while, a restaurant's good too. No, that's me. That was me, so this is her. I'm fine with the convenience store. While saying that just a bit, the girl looked down. It seemed like she was looking at her clothes. Ah, that's right. She's been wearing those floppy clothes all this time. Got it. Then want to go there first? There? Look, the store just up front. Some kind of jeans shop. It was one of those places often seen along the national roads that looked like some kind of wholesale outlet dealing in jeans and casual wear. I'm sure a store like that wouldn't have things that. I'm sure a store like that would have things that don't cost much. Well, we're going. We're going in, okay? There was no reply, but there was also no resistance. Could it be that if she didn't object, I could think of it as an agreement? We entered the store. On the large 2 floors, the girl curiously went around many of the sections. She was silent as usual and might have looked unchanged from her usual appearance. But somehow it was slightly different from the time she had been lifelessly staring at whatever came by on a boring television. Over and over, she would pick something up, look at the price tag, and fall into thought. And while trying things on, she would come up to me. How is it? How is it? It suits you. Da, 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 da. It's not strange? Probably. Over and over like that, the girl would change clothes and come back to show me. She would never smile or show any emotion, but I sensed somewhere that she was enjoying herself. How about it? Decided? I'll take this. While saying that, she showed me the last set and she changed into a cute shirt and short skirt. Those clothes were just exactly like a middle school or high school student's, but she happily wore them. Certainly, she had said that she was older than me, but however you looked at it, when put together with a figure like that, when put together with a figure that really didn't look older, it suited her so well. It was charming. But that skirt, isn't it better if you gave up on it? Eh? No, it's not that it doesn't suit you or anything. Look, it's cold, isn't it? It's not an outfit for this season. It's not particularly a problem. I'll endure it. When she answered, I could see just the slightest bit of red on her white face, even though normally she would absolutely never show any emotion. Could it be that she's embarrassed? It was the first time I saw her show emotion. We continued on driving. Under the high winter sky, the silver coupe ran with the slightly noisy exhaust continued driving. Next, go on to Route 21. Alright. As usual, we went on following the girl's navigation. Before we knew it, we were in Gifuken. Normally, except when needed, the girl would always be gazing out the window. But now, again and again, she would happily look at her reflection in the side mirror. As if she were trying to avoid my noticing, she peered into the mirror. What? Nothing. The clothes from before looks like you like them. Not particularly. It's not that. Saying that, she stopped looking at the side mirror. But after a while, when I was looking away, the girl once again started checking the mirror. In the end, she's also got a cute side, it seems. From just that little thing, just normally and only normally, I thought she was cute. Yeah. Ooh. When the sun had completely set, by some roadside somewhere, we once again fished our meal of the convenience store food. Say, I wonder what's becoming of things right now. Even now, wrapped around my wrist, the white vinyl bracelet. On it, my blood type and name was recorded. As I looked at the hospital's nameplate, I murmured, You think there's been a big uproar? Probably. Yeah. Parents, friends, as well as the hospital doctors. When I thought that even if only on the surface they were worried about me, it pained my heart a little. Sorry, Dad. Everyone. Going off and doing something selfish. Say you. Something the matter? The first time you heard you were going to die, did you cry? At the girl's sudden question, for a moment I was taken aback. Then I thought about the weight of the question for a time. I think I didn't cry. Then did you say, why only me and curse fate? That I don't really remember. In the beginning, I wasn't able to realize what was happening in reality. I think it was because I couldn't conceive of it as being real. However, in truth, there might have been a bit of that. The friend I went to training center with bought a new car, complained about how much trouble the 36 loan payments were. There were those who got jobs, those who left back in school, those who had kids, those who were dumped by their girlfriends again. But I was denied a future. That's why, to be honest, I think there had been a feeling of why only me? Even though I had told myself that this was fate, still I think there was the feeling of not wanting to give up. Then what about you? Me? Yeah, did you cry out of sadness or curse fate? I was fine with it. Why? Because from the start, I didn't wish for anything. Because I had given up. I see. If you gave up from the start, then there would be no disappointment. If you looked into your past, there wouldn't be any happy things. If you looked into your past, there wouldn't be any happy things, but also no painful things. But I had a feeling that that way of thinking was far too sad. Or perhaps in the girl's case, maybe there was nothing else that could be done. A movie that I saw before said that wolves only live 3 years. What? Wolves? Suddenly the girl started talking about something I didn't really get. But it said that donkeys live 9 years. What's this? Wolves are 3 years and donkeys are 9? Donkeys are useful, so they live long. That's how it is, it seems. The girl looked lonely as she gazed out the window, her words sliding out. This was probably to this girl the excuse to convince herself, the excuse so she could give up. Under the evening winter sky, we continued straight along Route 21. Dancing in the darkening sky, lightly floating specks of white, it seemed that depending on the circumstances, it might snow harder. Something wrong? Yeah, it's snowing. Then I noticed that the far sides of the road had become white with fallen snow. I didn't know we had come to a snowy area, but everywhere I looked was stained with white. This might be trouble. From what I had seen before, these tires weren't studless winter tires. If further ahead was in an even snowier area, it might be troublesome. Hey, is this place a snowy area? Eh? Well, if the snow gets any worse, it might be difficult, you see. Even if the road's surface wasn't covered in snow in such a place, it wasn't surprised if the road froze over. I'm thinking about it, I hadn't learned anything outside of the instruction center's textbook, and we might need to have chains put on. How about it? Do you know? Up ahead is Sekigara. I heard that the last time What I want to know is whether this place gets heavy snow. I don't know. For some reason, the girl answered with a lonely expression. From that expression, I felt that something didn't match up. Even though she knew that much about the roads and also knew this much about cars, compared to that, she also seemed like something she would definitely know. This seemed like something she would definitely know. Alright, at any rate, I'll drive carefully. The shoreline. We got out of the car and gazed at a lake. Oh my. Got out of the car and gazed at the lake. Excuse me. Alright, we're back, and, ooh, that was weird. Alright, so, the shoreline, we got out of the car and gazed at the lake. Blown by the strong wind, here and there, white snow even stained the frozen lake surface. And in that, facing what seemed like the sea's edge, the girl slowly started walking. It was a scene that occurred before. Say, what do you think? That if you continue into the sea like this, you would die comfortably thing? I have a feeling it would be more comfortable than the sea. I don't see the basis for the answer. Well, seawater is salty and your body would float, wouldn't it? That's impressive reasoning. With the cold north wind and a falling snow, and in the falling snow, the two of us exchanged words were once couldn't tell whether we were serious or joking. And then the feet that had briefly paused once again started to move towards the lake. I guess you aren't going to stop me? Well, today you don't plan on dying, right? That may be so. That place, Ajishima, how much further would that be, I wonder? It's not as if I wanted to go there, or that I had some sort of obsession with it. However, even though we had been wandering around with no purpose now, we found ourselves with a place to aim for. Even if without me stopping her, the girl's feet remained one step before the water's edge. I was sure that's how it was. From there, go back to Route 1. Got it. From Route 8 back to Route 1. Following the girl's navigation, this time headed towards Kusatsu. Say, right now, is our money fine? We still have about 30,000 yen. Before we had bought clothes, but other than that, we continued on our usual convenience store fare. Is something the matter? Then you want to go on the expressway? Expressway? We can't go all the way using the smaller roads? Certainly up until very close you can. But in the end, you have to take a toll road, so... I see. Well, it's Aji Island after all. I didn't know the details, but in order to get to Ajishima, one had to cross the Seto Ohashi Bridge or some other bridge. Well, from Kusatsu, go on to the bypass. Oh, sorry, wrong person. Alright. Following the girl's directions, we went from the Seda interchange and connected onto the Meishin Expressway. Yo, that's kind of dope. Compared to the normal roads we had been running on until now, it was obviously a better maintained road. There was no traffic lights, and with good visibility of the road, even for a first-time expressway driver like me, it felt like it was easy to drive on. It was just, if I was were in the high-speed lane on the right. The cars that came up from behind at a furious pace were scary. At the start, I didn't know what passing was or what the right blinkers meant, but when I got used to it, I thought driving on the expressway was fun. Amazing, that car. Passing us at an astonishing speed, some car from somewhere, we were driving leisurely and couldn't help but look at each other. And then, the girl who sat in the passenger seat looked slightly different from usual. Normally, she would be looking out the window with distant eyes, but today, surprisingly, she was curiously looking around at the cars. Speaking of which, for some reason, she knew a lot about cars. I pointed at the car from before that furiously passed us. So, what car was that just now? Come now, think of it like a quiz. Toyota Celsius overview. Then the one that passed us now? Citerion Escara. I see you know them well, don't you? To be honest, I couldn't tell whether she was right or not. However, the girl that would rarely open her mouth on her own seemed to be enjoying herself as she answered again and again. That's why, without pausing, I continued to speak. The blue one is a Eunice. The red one is an Alfa Romeo. She even answered for two cars that passed us at the same time. But you don't know that one, right? As I spoke, I pointed to something different from a normal car, a truck. I wanted to see a slightly troubled face from that girl who would show so little emotion. So yeah, I guess you don't know trucks, eh? Nissan Atlas 10. Okay. Hey, you're amazing. Even though I was trying to give her a hard time, I hadn't thought she would know even trucks. If you know this much, isn't it on the level where you can be proud of it? Is that so? I think you can puff out your chest. The girl returned silence at my words. She seemed just a little bit embarrassed. I'm sure she really liked cars. Well then, when we get over there, you want to try driving? Eh? But I don't have a license. It'll be fine. I'm sure driving on the beach or something will be fun. Most likely, if we go to Ajishima, there would be plenty of deserted places. Plus, this car was a manual transmission, so once she got used to it, I thought it'd be interesting. Well, in that case, I'll teach you. Well, even so, I'm just a new driver myself. Chapter 6. When that high sun was just misting over, the silver coupe continued to run along the expressway. Soon we would be at Katsuragawa parking. Moving slower, we drove in what could be called a slow resting place. Say, you want to take a break next? What's wrong? Looks like I'm a bit tired. I see. It wasn't too surprising. Just before, she had been so excited, and originally we were even more sick than ordinary people, so it was probably natural. Well, I'll go buy you something. Alright, I'll go buy them quick. Slam. Rushing over to a nearby shop, I bought things that weren't too different from what I would buy at a convenience store. Here, a Pocari and nigiri. That and also the fries. Those were the words of her reply, but the girl just took them and didn't move to eat. Even though normally she would have started eating the fries first. You alright? Is it that you're starting to feel bad? Oh God, here it comes. My medicine has run out is all. I see. Her medicine ran out. That was something I had feared. Oh no, it was something that could have easily been imagined from the moment we left the hospital. Of course I hadn't forgotten about it on purpose. Up until now I had thought about it. I hadn't even the sense to think about it. Since when? When did your medicine run out? Last night. Then it's almost been an entire day. In my case, I had been told by the doctors that 2 days without taking any was my limit. Most likely the girl's case was similar. Now that I thought about it, since the day that we left the hospital, 8 days had already passed. The amount of medicine that we carried on hand, I could have seen that sooner or later it would have wound up like this. Right now, what should I do? Say. I don't like the 7th floor. I know. And you don't want to go home either, right? Once again, the silver coupe ran on. In the end, I got off the expressway at the next exit. It wasn't that it would help anything, but I wouldn't be able to do anything while on it. From the bleak expressway exit, I continued driving towards an urban area. Then I searched not for a small town doctor, but a large hospital. More precisely, I was looking for the pharmacies that are near the large hospitals. To be honest, going to any hospital maybe have been the best thing. If it were a normal sickness, without any hesitation, I would have done so. However, we were residents of the 7th floor. The vinyl identification bracelets wrapped around our wrists were white. And also, we were people who had fled from the 7th floor. While thinking about that, I peered around while gripping the wheel. I was sure that a pharmacy near a large hospital should have most things. Found one. Standing on the corner, facing a large... Be gone, Java. I am reading a story. Shoo shoo. Standing on the corner, facing a large street, was some large university hospital. Right near it was the signs of 2 or 3 pharmacies. Just when I decided I wouldn't be able to find parking, I found an open space and quickly stopped the car. Hey, let me borrow your medicine bag. With a mystified expression, the girl handed the bag with medicine over. I took that bag of medicine used in the hospital wards and took out the only paper explaining the medicine. With this, it should be fine. Well, I'll be back soon. Leaving her alone in the car, I ran the short distance to the pharmacy. Passing through the stuttering, slow automatic doors, I came into the store. I headed straight for the counter. Shopkeeper. Welcome. The person who called out to me was a middle-aged man wearing white clothes. He really fit the image of a pharmacist. I need this medicine, please. Yes. Please wait a moment. With that, the man took the medicine explanation papers I handed over and went into the back. Most likely, instead of dispensing normal medicine, this place dispensed medicine from hospitals. When I went to an outpatient hospital before, I remember going into a place like this just to get medicine. Obviously, it was built right next to the hospital, and I thought that most medicines would probably be gathered here. Sorry for the wait. It comes out to this much. Eventually, the man returned. In his hands were clear bags with capsules of medicine. He was carrying 2 bundles of them. With that much, it was probably alright for a while. At a glance, there's probably 1 week's worth. And then, as I was taking out my wallet, before that, may I have your prescription? Prescription? I'm talking about the prescription for the medicine. These are for clinical use, you see. You received one from your doctor, right? I hadn't expected this. Well, thinking about it calmly, these weren't over-the-counter items you could buy. You couldn't buy these normally. Is something the matter? No, I faltered, and the man in white began to lay increasingly suspicious eyes on me. Wait, huh? That's... Then noticing the white bracelet wrapped around my wrist, and the words that were written on it. My name, blood type. I was trying to read the name of the hospital. Snatch! Ah! The medicine left on the glass counter reflexively, I grabbed the whole pile. Hey, wait! The man behind me at the counter gave a great shout. I heard that voice behind me, but I was already running. I was only 5 meters from the shop exit. Unable to gain steady footing, I was stumbling. But even then, I ran on in a daze. And then, coming to this stuttering, slow automatic door, as I was making to leave the store. At that time, gosh, ow, damn it! Suddenly, for a moment, my awareness turned white. I slammed my head into the edge of the automatic door with enough force that it seemed to have cracked. While shaking my wobbly head, I reached out with my hand and opened the automatic door that had stopped partially open. Then I got out of the store. I began running. I hadn't let go of the bags of medicine I had been holding. Phew. Unable to help myself, I was out of breath and I wound up raising my chin up. It was only a few tens of meters to the car, but it felt awfully long. It didn't seem like anyone was chasing after me, but I didn't even have the luxury of looking back to check. If I were caught, what would have happened to her? I owned the car. She would probably be sitting there forever, waiting for my return. As I thought about that, for some reason, I ran in earnest. While staggering and out of breath, and thinking that this was my full strength in spite of myself, I felt it was sad. Slam. Phew. As if collapsing, I fell into the seat and panted heavily as I tore the car onto the road. Clearly more so than the other day at the pachinko parlor, I became aware of how much my strength had slipped. And then, checking the rear view, it looked like I had really been cut by the glass. A bit of blood was flowing from my forehead. Probably if it's just this much, it'll stop soon. While driving, I lightly pressed some pocket tissues on it. Are you alright? Yeah, I'm fine. But you're bleeding. Don't worry about it. It's nothing. To the girl directing a worried face towards me, I waved my hand telling her not to worry. And then with my left hand holding the wheel, I handed her the bundle of medicine. Here, take your medicine. With this, I thought we'd be fine for the moment. At least it would probably hold out for a week. But when this runs out, what would happen? It was good that today had been a success by chance, but it was clear that my own strength was declining every day. Originally, we didn't have a goal or a place to go, because we had no desires. We had no fear of losing anything. But now, things were slightly different. With the birth of purpose, the fear of loss also was born. Suita Junction, Kobe Junction. And the day cleared up, and the day cleared up, and that clear, so very high sky that was characteristic of winter spread wide. Once again, we went on the expressway. Right now, we left the Suita Junction and we're running along the Chingoi Expressway. Chingoku Expressway, yeah. Hey, what's the next one? From the Kobe Junction? Got it, the Sanyo Expressway, right? Following the girl's directions, the silver coupe ran. Coming all the way here, the signs along the way were occasionally showing words Ajishima. Dude, the art's really nice. As simple as it is, I really like it. Oh, yeah. Oh shit. Since the day we escaped from the 7th floor, the odometer had already passed 900 kilometers. It seemed unthinkable that we had gone so far, but considering our destination, it was just a short distance. Then what appeared before us was a large bridge. This is the Akashi Kaiko Bridge. It's an amazing bridge, isn't it? The two of us couldn't help but be impressed. It was as if it ran atop the sea forever. Then after we drove for a while, right in the middle of the bridge, here and there cars were stopped and people could be seen. Most likely those were tourists who got out of their cars to take commemorative photos. Imitating those people, I pulled the car out to a stop along the side of the road. Stopping is prohibited here. Well, if it's just for a bit, it'd probably be fine. Dude, my dude here is like straight up Clyde. He don't give a fuck. It's like, man, I'll steal these damn medicine. He said, man, I'ma stop on the bridge. I don't give a fuck. Sorry. Besides, from what we've seen, a number of other cars had stopped in the same way. Come now, let's go out for a bit and have a look. I'm sure it's got an amazing view. Alright. She sounded a little reluctant still, but the girl got out of the car to join me. Phew. Oh no, it's the wind. A strong cold wind whistled atop the bridge. It's colder than you'd think it is. It's colder than you'd think, isn't it? Since normally we wouldn't come out of the car, we felt it all the more. In contrast to us, farther down, there was two people that seemed to be a couple. It looked like they were taking commemorative photos and raising happy voices that even we could hear. Looking around closer, other than those two, there were families and groups also taking pictures. A commemorative picture, eh? Certainly for a place like this, one was necessary. Speaking of which, what's wrong? Wait a sec. I was certain there had been a camera. Before the first time I had searched through the car, I remembered that I had found a cheap disposable camera. At the time, from what little I knew, or from what little I saw, I thought there were a few shots left. Pulling out the camera, I checked the film. Wonderful, there are still 2 shots left. Sorry for the wait. Look, I'll take one of you. Eh? A picture, since we're here after all. No. Now, don't say that. Strike a pose or something for me. As I spoke, I readied the camera, pointing it at her. Come now, try making a bit of a happier face. However, maybe because she was embarrassed, even when she finally faced this way, she had a sulking expression. Or perhaps, for this girl, this was her trying her best to make a smile. As I thought about that, I made ready to shoot the camera when... Excuse me, could you take a picture of us? Sure. Some random couple came up to us with a camera in hand. Okay, ready? Yes, please. Happily, the 2 hugged shoulders and the 2 of them smiled. I placed the 2 of them in a viewfinder and hit the shutter. Thank you very much. Well, in exchange, we'll take a picture of you two. No, we're... Just press here on the camera, right? Faster than my reply, he took my camera. Actually, it was more like he snatched it. Probably he was being polite, ignoring our hesitation. He quickly readied the camera. Come on, come now, you two. Come now, the two of you. Get closer together. At those words, my body moved a bit closer to the girl. Still looking emotionless as always, the girl next to me also moved just a hint closer. Could you please pose a bit more? Noisily, the boyfriend started adding more requests and looking closer. The guy's girlfriend was also giving us exasperated looks. Thinking there was no helping it, from behind her back to her shoulder, I slowly wrapped my arm around her. Ah! It was the first time I touched her body. The feeling of her childish clothes we bought the other day and the waist-length hair spread through my hands. Looking at the camera, I couldn't see the girl's expression, but maybe she might be wearing the embarrassed pout face that she would only show very rarely. Well then, ready? Click. Perhaps satisfied that they had taken a decent picture, the couple returned to their car. We also turned towards our own car. A girlfriend, eh? Looks like we've been mistaken. ... Could it be that we look like it? ... I said it in a bit of a joking way. For some reason it felt fun, and I just wound up continuing in that light tone. Well, no. Well, what do you think, Satsumi? What's with that? You're the younger one. Even with those words the same as always, she was facing the window. Her expression was the same, and she didn't even move to look in my direction. But that was... Her eyes weren't the ones that were looking far away. I had a feeling that it was embarrassing, so she was turning her face away. January 29th, Sumoto Interchange. Looking up at that high sun, the characteristically blue sky spread on and on. From then, we went on for just a bit and arrived at the Sumoto Interchange. Once again, we exited and returned to the normal roads. We finally arrived, haven't we? Since the day we left the 7th floor, the car's trip meter showed 900 kilometers. From an unplanned start, we really did make it all the way here. Where should we go from here? South. South, got it. Following the girl's direction, I set off. Of course, coming here, I even knew what the place would be. I could see a number of signs for tourists in front of me. However, I followed her navigation. I had a feeling that it would be wrong if I didn't. For some reason, I wanted to do it that way. Narcissus? Chapter 7, Narcissus? Roll credits? Slowly the setting sun dyed everything orange. A deserted beach, a strong cold wind swaying a pine grove. Driving the car out onto the beach, I turned to the driver's seat over to the girl. Alright, the clutch. Can your feet reach it? It's fine. Okay, then next, shift the gear from neutral to second. I know. Alright, fine. Then you do what you want. Alright. The girl with her short build stretched her foot out as far as she could while gripping the wheel with a serious expression. Leaning out of the passenger seat, I spoke up. It's great. After that, slowly released the clutch. And then, looking obviously nervous. Ah! As expected, the grinding noise was phenomenal. Look, you need to disengage the clutch more quietly. Her words said so, but of course, it wasn't something one got skillful at right away. The girl tried her best, chewing on her lip and a bit in concentration. Exactly, because she would normally show no emotion. Her figure seemed charming to me. Hey, I'm about to start feeling sick. I know. With the mufflers slightly broken, the silver coupe was noisy. On the deserted beach, it was as if a howling voice was reverberating. When the sunset had changed into a night and the faltering sea breeze completely changed to being a land breeze, at some point, the face of the large moon hung in the sky. For the most part, it seems you've gotten used to it. Along with that reply, she even shifted into third. Totally used to the clutch now, she was driving around the narrow beach. If that's the case, you could get a license without going to the training center now. No? Really? Well, I don't have much credibility. It's the words of someone who just got their license after all. By now, there was no meaning for us to get a license. Both of us knew that. We had maps, we had medicine. The muffler was a bit broken and loud, but we even had a silver coupe. But we had no time, no future. It was exactly because we knew that I felt it was all more trying. Well then, instead I'll give you mine. As I spoke, I took out my own license from my pocket. This was originally the license that had lost its debut. The proof of the ordinary world that I should have already lost. Here, in place of your diploma. ... Even if I take it, it doesn't look like I'd have time to use it. Well, don't hold back. I'm more or less the same way after all. The 7th floor had no one had ever escaped. The high ceiling windows that could open only 15 centimeters, the white vinyl bracelets. For the third time as the last, the girl on her second, I on my first. So here, congratulations on graduating. Thank you. With a small nod, the girl accepted my license. With that, she was also licensed. Not only coupes, but sedans, even convertibles. She should be able to drive anything that she liked. Surely she should be able to go any place that she liked. After that, we drove for a bit more. We arrived at our destination, the place where daffodils could be seen. It was supposed to be a tourist spot, but perhaps this was a bit away from the area, or perhaps it was the night no one was in sight. Within the perfect darkness of the night, we were waiting for the dawn in the dim car interior. Say, you're not gonna turn on the light? The battery seems about dead. That's right. Inside the car, with even the engine off, only the dim lights of the dashboard faintly illuminated our profiles. In the tight space of the car, where sound and light faded away, we exchanged very few words as we waited for sunrise. And the lump of laundry that had been tossed to the rear seat, the thick jeans and sweatshirts and towels. We took a number of those and wrapped them around our bodies in place of blankets. Aren't you cold? Well, you can come a little closer, you know. Look, don't hold back. Come here. Speaking to the girl shivering from the cold in the passenger seat, I pointed to my lap. I'm sure that it'd be warmer here. My dude, making moves. That's how you do it. Tat-tat-tat. Not particularly. I'm fine. Oh, shut down. As the girl spoke, her body was shivering. Even inside the car, our breaths misted, and it was obvious she was putting on a brave face. Or is it that you're cold, so you want me to come? Well, that's fine too. Then alright. Then slowly she came over to my side, hesitatingly curled in my lap. Well, it's a bit warmer, isn't it? You swaggin'. The windshield was fogged, totally white from the cold outside. With the white and the dark outside, nothing could be seen outside. But soon the sun would rise. Surely at that time, a field of white flowers would spread out. The night was quickly fading, and the rising sun was turning the darkness from a faint purple to a pale white. Then with the dawn, white flowers spread before our eyes. In the place that had been only black up until now, white flowers appeared. The two of us couldn't help but get out of the car and gaze at the scene. Amazing. Spread before us countless daffodils. The morning dew caught the morning sun, further enhancing the bright whiteness of the prominent flowers. One could believe that it was a carpet that stretched to the sea. And in that, we exchanged words, our breaths shining the same white. Since that day, the boring television show, the flowers, we had come to this place, even though we had no purpose. We managed to come all the way here. Dude, that's gorgeous. These flowers, I can think of them as being the same. Even strictly speaking, they're the same. I see. That's good. I didn't know the difference between kinds, but that day the television showed a scene of unbroken, ununiform beauty. Compared to that, the flowers before our eyes differed in size as well as how much they bloomed. But without a doubt, they were here. Beautiful. Indeed. Vague, dull, ordinary, but always cold and merciless to everyone. Reality. In a world filled only with things that couldn't be seen, a world filled with things that were even if you stretched out your hand, you couldn't touch. Be gone. Go away. Right now, something could definitely be touched before our eyes. Some fragments of those unseen somethings were scattered about. Ajishima, January 31st. Rain continued to fall from the solid white January sky. Since then, 2 days had passed, and the whole time we were still in this place. We couldn't go. Cough. Hey, are you alright? Probably. Her health had taken a turn for the worse. With her lying stretched out in the passenger seat, we barely moved the car and had remained stopped here. She was taking her medicine, but perhaps they weren't effective. Her bad state of health remained constant. However, we were people from the 7th floor. From her original condition, for a girl who was on her second time to wind up like this wasn't too surprising. Say, do you want to go back? You want to go back? Just a little bit. 7th floor or home? I didn't know. What I had known was that sooner or later this would happen, and of course, I myself was not too far from it. However, being able to only watch nearby, unable to do something, and unable to do anything, was painful. Oh, this is a snatch away. Oh God, Lord Jesus. February 2nd. The rain didn't seem like it wanted to stop. It continued falling from the dark night sky. Beyond the windows of the parked car, the shining white daffodils would faintly sway. Say, this is... As I spoke, I pointed at the white flowers beyond the windshield. These were Narcissus, weren't they? The daffodils? The word came from Narcissus. Narcissus? That was a word I remember hearing before, until now. I had thought that it had been a familiar word, but... You mean the Narcissus? Where Narcissus came from? Originally it was a myth, so there were many tellings. And the girl started to slowly explain as I wore an admiring expression on my face. The one who was loved by everyone, Narcissus. The nymph Iko was also one of the ones who loved him. But Iko couldn't say anything but the same words spoken to her. Nothing but the same words. Yes, and so for Narcissus, unless she got him to say I love you from his own mouth first, Iko could not express her own feelings. In a lonely and sad voice, the girl continued to speak. I felt that her gaze, like before, looking at some place much further away. However, that was absolutely impossible. No matter how much she yearned, Iko's wish could never be granted. Finally, she wound up placing a curse upon Narcissus. That was the famous falling in love with his own image reflected in the pool. And the Narcissus, who continued to gaze at his reflection, eventually was transformed into a beautiful flower. And that was where this flower, the Narcissus, drew its name. When the story came to an end, she lightly took a breath. I had been listening and also felt desolate. Iko, who bore a yearning for something that could never be reached, it felt as if it were just like us now. And then, what happened to Echo? She's nowhere. From the moment that curse was cast, she disappeared. Disappeared? Then wasn't there no meaning behind it? To go so far as to place a curse, but to get nothing from it in the end, it just made Narcissus unhappy also. Is something wrong? No. But you're different, aren't you? Eh? Well, before, didn't you ask me whether I cursed my own fate? Oh, I switched those. Oh, my bad. Whether I cursed my own fate, which I couldn't do anything about? Because I had given up. The me whose time had stopped. Numerous seasons, white overcast skies passed without even the need to exchange words with anyone. When was it that I became alone, I wonder? Even if I closed my eyes, the world didn't disappear. Even if I stopped my ears, the sound of the rain wouldn't stop. I knew that. Neither the bikini swimsuit, the emerald sea, nor the happily smiling photograph. I didn't really think I was envious. In the world of my closed eyes, even without maps or a car, I could go anywhere. Even if I wasn't being warmed by the large scar on my chest, even if this reality where Narcissus and I were Echo, I would never yearn, never curse, even when I was supposed to have decided that. My heart right now swayed. The time that was supposed to have stopped tried to move, even though if it did so now, very soon it would end. Wounds. The deeper they are, it seemed that they require a proportionate amount of time to heal. If so, if one had taken a long time slowly letting go, is it too late to recover? Then, what would become of me? Someone who had lived 22 years. Cough, cough, cough. Hey, are you alright? Before dawn, stretching my hand out to the passenger seat, I stroked her back. Since then, another 2 days had passed, and the medicine that had been losing effectiveness had run out. But it was better than doing nothing. Thinking that, I reached for the car keys, planning on going to a pharmacy. Then, as I was about to switch the ignition, it's fine. I was stopped by a weak voice. But at this rate, either way, they don't work anymore. That may be so, but certainly, it was like the girl said, most likely with the same medicine, there wouldn't be any effect. But even knowing that, it was painful for me to sit still, unable to do anything. Then, well, let's go somewhere else. Somewhere else? Yeah, somewhere other than this lonely place. Okay. Let's decide our next destination. Come on, anything will do. Be the navigator again. I was speaking in a bright tone of voice that even I thought was laughable. Facing the profile looking far away, I continued to speak cheerfully, alone. I knew that doing this was useless. At most, how 2 days before the end would turn to 3. Even I knew it was on that level. Come on, say something. There's some place, isn't there? Not particularly. Famous last words here. I know, don't you like cars? You want to go on the expressway again? Not particularly. Then, well, let's go buy some new clothes. You want them, don't you? Da-da-da. Da-da-da. Not particularly. Not particularly. You... With those final words, once again, the girl looked out the window. Not looking at the Narcissus that spread before her, but like before, looking off somewhere far away. That pouting, embarrassed face she would sometimes show. She wouldn't show it to me anymore. Well, why? Why are you like that? Always with just not particularly. Just being a little bit forward-facing. What's wrong with that? Before I knew it, I raised my voice. For some reason, I was sad. Even though I was supposed to be unable to have any really sense of reality, my heart ached. The interior of the car returned to silence. Outside of the windows were flowers of January, daffodils, narcissus. In the dark before dawn, their whiteness Glynda gently swayed. Farther than the flowers, much farther, the girl continued gazing. Only the faint sounds of waves held sway in this place. Looking forward, how could I? Eh? Inside the dark car, suddenly she spoke up. To yearn, to be eager, to strive. If someday you will be rewarded, then fine. But when it doesn't come true, what should I do? At the time to say, oh, it was possible, and laugh? I'm not that strong? The girl who had eyes that always looked far away was looking straight at me from the passenger seat. What I could do was give up from the start. To not wish for anything. To say, of course it was impossible. To look at myself from the cold eyes. There was nothing else I could do. You're... For the first time, the girl cried. Even though she almost never showed any emotion. Her small shoulders shook and her tears flowed. At that time, if I had tried harder, what if? What was to me my final excuses. I could do nothing other than put them aside. Because I knew from the start that it was impossible. Isn't that much allowed? I looked at the dark sky beyond the windshield. The sky before the dawn even showed the face of the moon. I could only hear the occasional sound of waves, the girl's sobbing voice. The girl might feel that she was the same as Echo. Unable to return anything but the same words from herself, she could say nothing, hope for nothing, see nothing. Could do nothing but give up. So for this girl, refusing both the 7th floor and home was perhaps her first and last act of defiance. The clear sea of January, cold wind that pierced the skin. Occasionally a strong gust of wind. A strong gust would sway the pine grove, and the sound of waves calmly reverberated. Well, there was nothing other than this. I handed over the towel with the shirashi construction printed on it. It was what we had used to wipe our bodies down with before. Da-da-da. Hey, don't make such a strange face. All right. Seeming slightly unsatisfied, the girl took the towel. Suddenly saying she wanted a swimsuit. What could I do? In this season, at this place, on top of that, she said she wanted a bikini. Doing what I could What came out of the car when I searched was the white towel that had been in the pile of laundry. And then waiting for a while, the skirt she liked, with the towel from just before wrapped around her chest, the girl appeared. How is it? Well, even if you asked me that, it's not strange? Well, probably. It's perfectly fine. Totally not strange at all. Alright. The girl slowly began walking out to the water's edge. Waves gathering and retreating. Long hair fluttered in the cold-ass breeze. Cold sea breeze. I don't know why I said cold-ass. From the sky, as if delivering the finishing blow, snow lightly fell. Within all that, the girl held both her shoes in both hands. Happily, as if she were splashing around, walking barefoot at the edge of the water. Say, does it look like it? Maybe so-so. In the cold of midwinter, our breaths whitely misted. Then I took out the camera that I had taken from the car earlier. That cheap-looking disposable camera had only one more shot on it. Here, I'll take pictures of you. Eh? I'm sure it'd be more like it. I'm sure it'd be more like it that way. As I spoke, I made a show of preparing the camera. Come now, don't be so reserved, okay? The water's edge, the girl seen through the viewfinder. Maybe she was a bit nervous or perhaps embarrassed. Her face was more complicated than usual. So could you give me a better pose? But no buts. Look, there's no magazine model that would stand like a steak. All right. Even while still seeming a bit embarrassed in her own way, she tried her best. Shyly putting her hands on her waist, she threw her free hand out wide. That hand, it stretched out towards the clear winter sky, as if it were about to grasp something. We're trying to grab something. Stretched straight towards the sky, with the emerald green sea to her back. Well then, one last thing. Smile. Eh? Smile for me. Setsumi. What's with that? You were the younger one. You're the younger one. Saying that, for the first time, she smiled for me. The girl wearing the skirt she liked with a white bikini smiled for the last shot on the disposable camera. Smiled with the emerald green sea to her back. I don't know. It was as if a magazine model were smiling at me. Great. The next, how about we pose with a bit more movement? Happily, like she was having fun, she splashed through the water. The film had been used up in the camera, but I still continued to take shots. Oh, you're getting caught up in this, aren't you? No such thing. Cheerfully, we talked as if making another attack. The snow fell even harder. And in that, through the viewfinder of the camera that had already run out of film, the girl showed a happy face. Even as her small body was thrown about by the wind, she directed her newly recalled smile towards me. Splash, splash. Well then. It's already that time? With the answer like that, before the girl started walking towards the sea. All right, the license. That's fine. Take it as a memento. All right. While nodding, she put it in her pocket. It was the license that I should have once handed to her. Really, it was something that should have already lost its debut. Then the girl took off that white vinyl bracelet wrapped around her wrist and offered it to me. Are you giving this to me? I am. I see. Then I'll take it as a memento myself. In the same way, I accepted the bracelet and placed it in my pocket. Then, once again, the girl began walking towards the sea. Facing her back, I threw out my final words. Hey, can I ask you just one last question? Do you, right now, want me to pull you back? Da-da-da. Or instead, you want me to give your back a push? While the waves splashed at her feet, the girl stopped in place. Her back remained facing me after I asked the question. The strong wind turned the crest of waves into spray that struck her. Before long, she turned around and... which one, I wonder? I don't really know. Saying that just one more time, she smiled for me, while being struck by the spray from the waves. Even as tears welled up, she faced me with a smile. Before, those feet had stopped at the water's edge, but this time, they didn't stop. That was why I thought that was her answer. Well then, farewell. And so our journey in 960 kilometers ended. To me, it was 15 days' time. To her, it was the end of a 22-year journey. Not the 7th floor, nor home. Of her own will, she avoided them. In the year 2005, she was one of the estimated 3,500 people who committed suicide. Blood type O, name Satsumi, 22-year-old female, vinyl identification bracelet white. This was everything about the girl. But I knew. In reality, she liked bikini swimsuits, knew more about the roads than any navigation system, loved cars. She even had a license. She was always without expression and would only rarely face you. But once in a while, she would even make this embarrassed pouting face. The emerald to her back. As if dancing happily, like a magazine model, she smiled. And yet, on this cheap disposable camera, only a single picture remained of her smile. But even so, even with just one picture, it was the proof of ourselves that we left behind. Oh my God! Oh my God. I asked if you guys wanted something with a bit more substance and a bit more story that was a little more sad. And this is what you guys wanted. Oh man, it's... I think technically speaking there's a second part to this. But I can't. I can't even. Like, guys, I'm done. You put me through this. You put me through this. Y'all did it. There's a tear trying to escape right now. But I'm a real thug, so I can't just waste my tears like that. So I got nothing to say. Guys, this is percolating. This has been Narcissu. It's been real. It's been sad. It's been really sad. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.